You also, 20 years ago, founded Evite, and the story goes that you got back together with your Evite co-founder, Al, from 20 years ago to start this new company. What was it like getting the band back together?
So, yeah, Al and I started Evite over 20 years ago, and we've stayed super close friends since. And when we were thinking about starting a company, what we really wanted to think about was an area that we were both passionate in, and health and fitness was definitely that.
So you could have done anything. Why fitness?
So whenever you're starting a company, I think there's a few factors that come into play. Number one, is it something you're personally passionate about? Number two, is the market big enough? And number three, can you create disruption? And health and fitness was something we were very personally passionate about. As you and I both know, unfortunately 2 years ago, Dave, my founder and CEO of SurveyMonkey, passed away. And for me, that was motivating to start thinking about how can I use tech to change health and wellness. The second piece is the market, which you already covered. There's $30 billion a year spent on gyms, and most of that goes unused. And the third is this something that you can disrupt? And so Al and I, as founders do, we put on our exercise clothes and we went and tried a bunch of different experiences. And the ones that are the most retentive are things like Orange Theory, Soul Cycle, and Berries. And what those have are live music, awesome coaches, and a really engaged community. But on the other hand, they're pretty cost prohibitive to most people. And as somebody who is definitely not fit, it's pretty intimidating to walk into those places. And so what we realized is we could use technology and build an app that gave people the great coaching, live music, a totally engaged community, but at the same time was affordable, accessible, and available for people with all different fitness levels.
So I was going to mention the competition, but you did it for me. However, you are asking for precious time, workout time, and money from people. What makes you think you can stand out from all of these other options?
So we think that the idea of being live is really, really important, because when you ask consumers, why don't you exercise today? You always get two answers, time and motivation. I mean, you can relate to that. Like 2 kids, you know, the only time I exercised for 5.5 years was walking from my car to the train station. And so when we were thinking about Gixo, we were thinking, how do we attack these problems really head on? And for motivation, we think that live aspect is key, where you have coaches that are pushing you along, saying, Emily, you can make it up that hill. And you have this engaged community where people can encourage each other and support each other during the class. And then the convenience is key. I mean, there was a research article the New York Times put out, and they said that even if you're 2 miles closer to your gym, you're more likely to exercise. We are trying to bring, through the mobile phone, that convenience with you anytime, anywhere. I mean, I did a 15-minute class this morning before my kids woke up.
Amazing. How are consumers and millennials, though, changing how they work out? Is this what they want?
So we think that we do target a pretty broad demographic. We're not just focused on millennials. I mean, we have in our beta test, it's been a lot of professionals, moms, people that are busy. With millennials, the pieces that they do enjoy are the community aspect and some of the classes that are a little bit more competitive.
As you mentioned earlier, you were #2 at SurveyMonkey, Dave's CTO for a very long time. I'm curious what you learned there that you're applying here. I know he had a profound impact on you, as he did on Silicon Valley.
I can't really summarize the mass amounts I learned from Dave, but what I can say is that one of the most important things was how to build a great company and how to build a great culture of a company. And so literally on the very first day when we were starting our company, the first thing Al and I did was list out, what do we want the culture of the company to be?
On that note, you were a candidate to become CEO of SurveyMonkey. You are technical, you're a founder. What's it going to take to get more women in the C-suite in Silicon Valley?
So I think with SurveyMonkey, you know, they ended up in a great place with Xander and now adding some amazing board members.
Serena Williams.
And so, but I think that if you think about the problem in general, there is no question there's not enough women in the C-suite, there's not enough women on boards. But, you know, thinking like an engineer, whenever there's a problem, the first thing you have to do is recognize there's a problem. And I feel like people like you have done a great job of bringing to the forefront that there is a problem in Silicon Valley. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, how do you solve the problem? And, you know, I can't answer that for everybody. I mean, for myself, that's part of the reason that I'm, you know, building Gixo. I want to build a great company that inspires other women to be founders and that we can do it.